Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. I will ride with this group. Seriously, man. Please. And away we go.
Oh, man. Got to watch the former lead Vikings beat writer at the Star Tribune in action yesterday. Just dominating that press conference.
I was in the bullpen loosening up.
Sports dad.
Man, my shoulder hurts.
Follow-up questions, detailed questions about the quarterback situation.
Yeah, jobs are on the line. Reputations will be made or ruined. Season whatever of the Vikings. Season whatever of the Vikings returns with so many questions.
Season 65? 64? 64.
1961, whatever the math on that
64, right? Because 1, 61, 2, 3,
You're the
4.
math guy on this show. I'm simply here to spit facts.
Yeah. I think it's season 64.
Or takes.
Feel pretty comfortable with that. Today is a special day here because we reunite an old benchmark from the old radio show, the Mr. Mankato competition. We've kind of drifted away from it the last couple of years, but with a new format for it. And we're going to explain that in just a moment as we look for the under-the-radar sleepers at Vikings training camp starting tomorrow. But we are holding a fun event a week from today, July 30th. So it's a Score North Twin Show trade deadline watch party if you are a Vikings fan and a Twins fan. It's Tuesday, July 30th, 4 p.m. at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park. 5 p.m. is the trade deadline. And then Declan will be going live sometime shortly after on the Score North Twin Show YouTube channel. Judd, you and I will be there for the actual deadline at Park Tavern, hanging out, cheersing drinks with people, jumping on with Declan. So 5 p.m. trade deadline, 6 p.m. Twins play the Mets. And you can watch that game on TV at Park Tavern. You might not be able to watch the game on TV at home.
Wait,
you can watch it at Park Tavern.
The game's on TV?
It's crazy. Some fun giveaways. But if you're a Purple Daily listener and you really don't even care about the Twins, that's fine too. Come on in. We'll talk some just casually among friends. We'll talk some training camp. We'll talk some Purple. But the Score North Twin Show trade deadline watch party, Tuesday, July 30th at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park. 4 o'clock is when we're going to arrive. 5 o'clock deadline, 6 o'clock Twins versus Mets. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time, and hopefully the Twins will make a move because it's going to be very intriguing to see the clubhouse from what Declan has talked about if they don't make a move. So
it's going to be a riot in that clubhouse.
It's going to be
a mutiny of some kind.
Well, and they will be very upset with GM Carlos Correa if they don't make a move because it's clear that Carlos Correa is sending out orders, which I actually don't have a problem with.
Yeah. Do we still just quick on-air production meeting? I'm looking through my files. Do we still have that Mr. Mankato theme song from like 10 years ago?
If it is, it's on
I might have found it. Oh,
the
my
Zeta
God.
side, not on my side.
I might have it here.
You got it?
This might be a copyright violation, but
pontificating.
So 10 years ago, I think it was 2014. It was the first year of our radio show on 1500 ESPN, and we were
Thielen's first year, right?
Yeah, it was Thielen.
He won it.
Yep. So Thielen was the first ever Mr. Mankato crowned in the moment. We retroactively crowned some other under the radar, like lower draft picks. At the time, we didn't really quantify it. It was just those guys that flash at training camp and you get really excited about. And they may or may not have an actual NFL career. But Adam Thielen, we presented him with, I guess, a gift box of like a styrofoam cooler from,
he left.
I think it was a quick trip down the street.
He left almost all of it. Just sitting there in the grass in Mankato. He was not impressed.
But it kind of took on a life of its own, and now it's you see Mr. Mankato references. Now, the fact that they aren't training in Mankato anymore has complicated it a little bit for us. But just getting your feedback as an audience, we figure let's keep calling it the Mr. Mankato competition. We're gonna draft our official Mr. Mankato rosters for who we're gonna be rooting for. AKA, from your suggestions, the Earl of Egan from Marcus, the Egan Everyman from Patrick Royce, Mr. TCO has been suggested by a few people. So I think it can be Mr. Mankato, AKA whatever Egan alliteration you want to put on it. And we're going to go through our draft here in just a moment. I think this is the song. Oh, my gosh.
There it is.
Yep.
Oh, God. Oh, there he is,
Mr. Mankato.
Oh, yeah.
There he is, your training camp hero. The dreams of a dozen men who were late-round draft picks, playing well in full team practice. Oh, he may turn out to be cut before the 53. Oh, there he
Wow.
is.
Boy, the old radio show. Nobody listened, but man, we had some good time on that.
That also shows its age now, because if you were to flash in training camp, you would not be cut before the 53, because there's one cut now, right?
Right.
That's back in the days
of
rounds of cuts. So you'd cut like 15 and then so that is you know what? That's a collector's item song now.
It is. Oh, can we
classic.
Maybe we can get like a, what do they call it? Like when they re-release those albums from like the 70s and the 80s, like they digitize, but then I don't know. Maybe we could, a remastered
Well, we
edition
could do your outtakes from that too. Like, I mean, we could,
outtakes. I thought I nailed it on the first
no
try.
end. There's no end. In fact, we should redo all of our shows from back then and release them so someone can listen to them.
Be great. There's some great gem 4-hour radio shows.
And then there's some stuff we'd probably cut out and never put back in.
So here's the parameters for what the Mr. Mankato eligibility is. 3rd round pick or later. So again, we're looking for under the radar sleeper players to watch at training camp. 3rd round pick or later, could be this year's draft, could be last year's draft, and or non-established NFL players, meaning never more than 100 snaps in a season, not counting special teams, and also 3 years of NFL game experience or less. So if you've been in the league for like 6 years, but you just don't play very often, you don't necessarily count. There's a couple of those guys. And we have used a random order generator on the internet, and this is the draft order. Judd gets the number 1 pick. I get the number 2 pick. Declan gets the number 3 pick, and then the wraparound on the snake draft. 4 rounds. And there are almost 40 eligible players on this Vikings 90-man training camp roster. So before we let Judd take the first overall pick, any other thoughts or questions about what we're doing here? I don't know how we crown a winner yet. I think it's just based on general buzz from reporters and fans.
Yeah.
But these are the rosters that we will be rooting for, the 3 of us on the show. These are going to be our Mr. Mankato hopefuls that we will be pushing our agendas forward with.
Yeah, I think picking the winner and is that like the winning team? Is that the winning player? Because we're going to go 4 rounds, right?
We're looking for a player. Yeah, we're looking.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no team involved. That's too difficult. It's got to be the one guy, but we're each going to have 4 opportunities.
Yeah. And then I think it's like by the end of training camp and preseason games, it's kind of like you'll know it when you see it. Oh, that guy right there. And if we need to consult a committee of Vikings reporters, we can do so.
You know what? I'm done with those days. We're going to decide. We're going to decide. This is going to be, I'm telling you right now, this is going to be an election that goes down to the wire.
I feel like Mr. Mankato was hijacked from us by multiple outlets for a long time. We're taking it back. We're taking back Mr. Mankato.
I still see it floating around. Like, here's the Mr. Mankato. Rick Spielman hijacked it from us. He used it one time.
That's right. I think we should get him a shirt. Okay. Judd Zulgad, you are on the clock with the first overall pick in the 2024 Mr. Mankato draft.
All right, this is going to take no time whatsoever because I already have my selection predetermined.
Wow.
This is sort of an all or nothing. But the thing about this is I think that this guy, I don't know, it's a technicality, but we did decide that he is eligible. And we've talked about this before. I expect that all of us are going to try and grab the receivers because I think there's 4 guys guaranteed a spot, but I think the number 3 job is sort of open, and I think there's 2 spots up for grabs, and we all know that this is a position at which you can flash in a big way in training camp and preseason. With the first overall pick, I am going to take Jalen Naylor and hope he stays healthy.
Wow, Jalen. I mean, this is the year, man. The 3rd receiver spot is wide open for him.
And he has, when he has been able to play, he has flashed. The question is, does he flash for 2 days and then grab his hamstring? by Monday? That's the question. So he is my first pick because I think he has a golden opportunity here.
Okay, I have the second pick here. And there is some strategy here because there's some offensive linemen that could be interesting. There's some meat and potatoes defensive players, and I got a couple on my list, but you're really looking for players that can actually show off their talents in a preseason game, in an 11-on-11 full team practice. It's tough for a third string right guard or tackle to, unless you're just pancaking everyone. You don't really get many opportunities to flash. But one of the meat and potatoes positions that does have an opportunity to flash are edge rushers, because you can see with your own two eyes, did the edge rusher get around a tackle and, even two-hand touch a quarterback in a team drill? Did he rack up sacks in preseason games? So give me, with the second overall pick, out of UCLA, premier undrafted free agent, edge rusher Gabriel Murphy. He was 117th on the consensus big board and went undrafted.
I love this pick. A fantastic pick. It's a great day. It's a great value for Phil Mackey. It's just unbelievable, phenomenal that he got this. Yeah.
Thank you. He had a 9.3 RAS score out of 10.
Yeah, it's back-to-back years now that the Vikings have actually plucked a surprising undrafted free agent, Andre Carter II last year, Murphy this year. So, yeah, this is definitely a pick at which the guy can flash. Also in preseason games.
Yeah, for sure.
There should be a big chance here.
Dude, he's gonna be playing against these schleppy third string tackles. He's gonna in that Flores, even the vanilla Flores system, he's gonna flash. So Declan probably scrambling now that Naylor and Murphy are off the board here.
Naylor wasn't on my board.
He does. Oh, he wasn't even on your. He was undraftable.
Nope, he wasn't on the board for me. My scouts saw what we've seen from the last few years, and we just decided as a group, we're okay there.
That's the thing. He's good. He's really good when he can play. The question is, can he play? Can he stay healthy?
That's
can't make the club in a tub.
Tale as old as time in Minnesota sports. So yes, we just we avoided that problem. Let's go here with my first of two picks.
I know what he's gonna do.
I will take Andre Carter II.
Okay.
So one of the premier UDFAs from last year's class, who's now bulking up and learning how to be in football shape after being in the Army and had a big career at Army. Let's take Andre Carter II with my first of two picks.
Yeah, he kind of came in and they needed to get him not in Army military shape, but get him into football shape. And now he's had a year and change.
It's a redshirt year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And hopefully that red shirt's a little more snug and tighter on that physique now.
Chiseled body.
That's right.
All right. No, I like the
third man. Yep.
He has a chance, man. He has a chance. I mean, they definitely. What was it, like a $300,000 guarantee or something for him a year ago?
Murphy and Carter both got paid, which is great. But yeah, there's definitely an opportunity for both of those guys to flash. You're right.
And that puts Declan back on the clock here with the first pick in the second round.
All right, with my second round pick, I will take Will Reichard.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will take Will Reichard. This is boomer, but you know when the kicks are going to be being made here or being missed. You don't know.
Yeah.
But
he's going to be on display though. Big leg Bill is going to be out there. Yeah.
Big leg Bill. We got to make a shirt. Big leg Bill will be on display. So give me the kicking prodigy who is going to kicking camps at age 12 to kick footballs for a living. Give me Will Reichard with my second pick.
I thought of this. Now, here's the concern. He's going to be on display at times, but it's the end of the practice drills, right? Where they go back 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards. You are going to need him to drill like a 60-yard kick in a preseason game. Like that's what this is going to come down.
But what if he makes what if he makes like 4 50-plus yarders in 3 preseason games?
But
exactly.
Which is great, but the problem is if a skill position player flashes a lot, he's going to take precedence, I think. Like Murphy or Carter, for both of you guys, has a better chance, I think, because they could flash and practice more. I think Reichard's I think it's hard as a kicker. I thought of this, but then again, if he comes into the exhibition games and starts to just boom the ball, then you're in great shape.
Okay. All right. I'm back on the clock here with the 5th overall pick. in the 2024 Mr. Mankato draft. I feel like this guy is probably a little old to be a regular season factor, but he feels like a classic training camp flash guy. Wide receiver Lucky Jackson is my second pick.
Okay.
So he's 27 years old, and he went to Western Kentucky. His last year at Western Kentucky was 2019. And since then, he's bounced. He was in the CFL. He was with the DC Defenders of the XFL in 2023. He had a pretty big year, actually, with the DC Defenders. And then the Vikings picked him up last year. He did play in 3 games, did not catch a pass. But Lucky Jackson, one of the veteran receivers on this 90-man roster, he's been all over the place. I think there's a chance he could flash in like the second half of a couple preseason games here. And like we said, but behind Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, it's wide open for receivers to get reps, at least with the second team offense. So Lucky Jackson, come on down.
All right, 2 picks for me now?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here are
Yes.
my 2 picks. Here are my 2 picks. No hesitation. A strategy, a man emboldened by his belief that there is an open job at receiver. Phil, you just took a guy I was going to take, but still.
Good.
Undaunted, unwavering. I'm telling you right now, I am confident. Tristan Jackson and Thayer Thomas.
Oh,
Both wide receivers.
He's
Dang
loading
it.
up on receivers.
That's all I'm gonna do.
God.
That's my whole strategy, guys that catch the football.
Firing
because
my scout.
they're gonna have to take a look. See at so many of now. If you nabbed Lucky Jackson and got me, I'm sort of pissed off about that. But you know what? It's a fair game here. But yeah, I'm loading up on receivers.
Wow.
Tristan Jackson and Thayer Thomas to go along with Jalen Naylor. Come on down. Somebody win the job.
Oh, Declan's devastated. He's been talking about Thayer Thomas for
You know what's
weeks.
funny? You know what's funny is Declan
Yep. I know
just
exactly.
passive aggressively at the end said, well, Jalen Naylor wasn't even on my board. Like, you know, the old man effed up, right? And now I'm back.
Here's what happened. Because I almost didn't say this. So us 3 were together at the Twins game yesterday at Target Field. And Phil sends a nice email of all the eligible candidates. And there was one guy omitted on that list. And I thought, there was a part of me that said, should I even mention that he's not on this list because he does qualify?
I did ask you guys, hey, I might have missed someone. It's a long roster.
Yeah, but I
Put
was
your
not-
eyes on this.
I have no problem with Declan's gamesmanship. And in fact, I was surprised that you did this list because you're competing. So
Judd, would you have taken
would you
Thayer
have remembered
Thomas
Thayer
if
Thomas?
Declan didn't mention, hey, you missed a guy on this?
Yes, I would have, because here's why. Our guy Forno, right? Sporting News, Score North, and as into this stuff as it gets. Recently did a Sporting News piece, 5 Mr. Mankato candidates. That's right. He hijacked the name, and then he listed 5. And you know who went right through that list of 5 and said, oh boy, these are interesting? Sports Dad.
Wow.
So that's where I got it. So it had nothing to do with him mentioning it or not. It had everything to do with the fact that he was atop Forno's list.
Wow. So Declan is shaken right now. Judd is loading up strategically on wide receivers. All 3 of his draft picks so far in all 3 rounds are wide receivers. That puts me back on the clock with the second pick in the 3rd round. And I think there's like at least one. There's one more eligible receiver on here. I don't know if this is the time to take him. So I've gone edge receiver. Let's go to a different level of the defense here. The Vikings have a crowded safety room. A lot of really talented players in that safety room. And one guy that doesn't get talked about a lot is a 4th round pick a couple years ago out of LSU. Give me Jay Ward with my 3rd round pick. Now, safeties can pick off passes in red zone drills. Like, safeties can flash in training camp. You can be blitzing. You can be intercepting passes in preseason games. NFL.com had this to say before last year's draft about Jay Ward. Respected at LSU for his leadership and toughness, offers positional versatility at nickel and safety. So the Vikings could use him in kind of a hybrid role. I think that's how they envision him going forward. Size and length to obstruct the catch point. Oh, yeah.
Football.
And he pounces and tackles quickly after the catch. He's above, I think, Lewis Seen on the depth chart right now, probably fighting with Theo Jackson for kind of those second team reps. And with Harrison Smith maybe on the way out after the year, I just think they're gonna take a long look at Jay Ward during this training camp and preseason. That puts Declan back on the clock with the final pick in the third round.
One of my professional scouts has said, don't take Thayer Thomas with those first 2 picks because we'll come back around. And that scout will no longer be working for Declan.
And Reichard might
you're
have.
fired.
Reichard might have, unless Phil would have taken him by now, and I don't know.
Oh, I would have taken. I was taking Reichard with the next pick after Declan did.
Okay,
just
all
so
right.
everyone's
Okay.
clear. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that leaves me. I'm still without a wide receiver, so I'm going to take Jayshon Jones, the wide receiver out of Maryland, who got $225K as a guaranteed as a UDFA. So they gave him a lot of dough. We talked about him yesterday on Purple Daily on Draft 2, and sometimes Maryland wide receivers, because that's not an offense that's going to be very flashy, puts together still really good wide receiver athletes that can transition to the NFL. So my one wide receiver pick will be Jayshon Jones there with my first pick. And then wrapping back around, give me the lengthy, long cornerback Dwight McGlothern.
There he is. Okay. Yeah, 6'2". He was
Big
175th on the consensus board last year. And there's like 260 draft picks.
I like his size. He was talked about during rookie mini camp, so he was mentioned by name, which is big. So give me Dwight McGlothern to round things out.
Yeah, he second team All SEC a couple of years ago, and NFL.com had this to say about Dwight McGlothern leading up to the draft: a ball-hawking cornerback with the eyes, instincts, and ball skills to flip the field against careless quarterbacks.
Football.
Careless quarterbacks. It's like Careless Whisper. It's like Careless Quarterbacks. It's my new hit single. It's coming out.
It's great. Month. George Michael gonna record that one? Are you gonna play saxophone?
George might have a little problem now getting to the studio, but he was good in his day.
Yeah, that's true.
I like Wham. Nothing wrong with Wham. No. There's nothing wrong with Wham.
That's a take.
I like Wham.
What are your 3 favorite Wham songs? Did they do like that "Wake Me Up Before You Go"?
Yeah, I know a bunch. I don't know the titles, and I can't. Yeah,
they have a great Christmas album.
Wait, is that really?
Well, they have a Christmas album.
They have a Christmas album.
Because
it's a great Christmas album.
Michael sang on because George sang on that. Do they know it's Christmas time at all? Right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, sure.
Benefit album that a bunch of stars. It's a great song.
Okay, that's good.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the.
I think I know what the snake draft on Feedback Friday is going to be. Your favorite Wham songs.
Wham songs. No, favorite 80s songs. How about that?
That's good. We could do that. All right. So it's my final pick here, and then Judd's final pick.
Yep.
There's so many names left here. I feel like we should almost do a 5th round. No, I mean, it was scheduled to be a 4-round mock draft.
It's up to you, man.
The listeners can put together their own team based on the scraps here. Okay, I'm going to go. Tight ends are going to be wide open here. I just feel like there's a lot of tight end touchdown receptions going around potentially in 11-on-11 and preseason games. I'll go Nick Muse. Give me tight end Nick Muse.
Okay.
Who is one of the, I think, oldest, longest tenured Mr. Mankato candidates, but he is still eligible. So I will take Nick Muse with my final pick. And that leaves Judd.
All right. So the wide receivers are basically exhausted now. I thought about Muse a lot. I liked him.
There's still one guy out there, still a receiver out there.
Yeah, I know. But so Dwayne McBride I might have taken, but now he's on the non-football injured list, which usually means you're in trouble with the team and they're going to be pissed off and you might not make the team. And you certainly might not get reps. Offensive line, no. The edge is depleted. Yeah, no, the edge is pretty depleted. No. You guys, there's only so many snaps. There's only so many prime snaps to go around, and I think you guys have taken those guys. Credit to what you've done. Credit to what you guys have done.
Take the other kicker, you coward.
No.
Take Seth Vernon.
No, I'm not taking.
I almost took Seth Vernon, the punter.
I thought a little bit about AJ Green III, who's
special
a veteran,
teams guy. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This is a long way of saying I am going to go with one of the big men. I am going to go with a guy who plays the line, but it's not going to be the offensive line. It's going to be the defensive line. It's going to be the one guy that I think has a chance to really win playing time at defensive tackle, Jaquelin Roy.
Thought about this too.
That's a good pick.
I could see him flashing. Yeah. More so, again, I think this is a preseason game guy. I don't know that I can say that he's going to flash in practice enough for us to identify it. But Jaquelin Roy is my final pick just because I was out of guys that I trust to catch the football.
Some A-gap penetration there in the preseason games that you're thinking?
You said it, not me.
Football.
Wow. So, okay, we'll get to some snubs here in a moment because I believe there are a handful of snubs. And, of course, the YouTube audience is going to let us know who those snubs are. So feel free to comment there. But here are the official 2024 Mr. Mankato drafted rosters. Judd, wide receiver heavy. He goes Jalen Naylor, followed by wide receiver Tristan Jackson, followed by wide receiver Thayer Thomas, and rounding out with defensive tackle Jaquelin Roy. Declan, edge rusher Andre Carter II, kicker Will Reichard, wide receiver Jeshaun Jones, and cornerback Dwight McLaughlin. And then I round out the draft picks with edge rusher Gabriel Murphy, wide receiver Lucky Jackson, safety Jay Ward, and tight end Nick Muse. So just some snubs that were eligible for this draft that went undrafted. Brian Asamoah, he was a prime Mr. Mankato guy the last couple of years.
Oh, he was, but
he's still eligible.
I think that ship has sailed. Sorry.
Levi Drake Rodriguez, who, remember, The Athletic did a profile on him. He was Prospect X for the draft, the most overlooked player in the 2024 draft.
Just a 7th-round pick. It's so hard, especially when Jaquelin Roy's eligible.
I agree.
That's the thing that threw me.
That's what my scout said, too.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite...
Because I was a jerk.
They're going on strike, never working for Judd again.
They just went to Declan's team. Yeah.
Levi Drake Rodriguez in this feature, Ryan Grigson said, quote, "It didn't matter which game tape you threw on. The guy played with violence and he played with twitch."
Football.
And he's also the first one there. He's there before at TCL before the sun comes up. Let's just say he wants it bad.
He does want it bad. Dwayne McBride, you mentioned, but non-football injury list. So it's possible they bring in another running back to sort of take his spot in training camp. I would say the other edge rusher that was interesting, Bo Richter, 9th highest graded edge rusher in college football according to PFF last year. It's a guy that you could keep an eye on. And then we mentioned the punter, Seth Vernon, but he is one of the tallest players on the team. He's going to stand out as a 6'5" punter, and they're going to give him a chance to win the job. What if he puts...
He's built.
Yeah, what if he sticks a couple punts at the 2-yard line in preseason games?
He's built. He played wide receiver, and also... if we see a successful executed fake punt, that would just the stock would.
So you won't, because they won't do it in preseason games. And here's the rub. Here's the dirty little secret about special teams. Now there will be times when they will practice for sure special teams, and Reichard will kick kicks. But the dirty little secret is this: they often do special teams work before anyone is allowed into the practice. So there will be special teams periods we do not see.
Yeah.
And that hurts the process, because there will be things, any trick special teams plays, anything like that, they don't show us. And I'm afraid that we're going to see, I don't know how much of the kickoff we are going to see, the actual strategy, till opening day.
Who's more paranoid right now as a coach, which coaches are always paranoid in NFL? Kevin O'Connell, just the head coach, or Matt Daniels, the special teams coach, making sure nothing leaks from any of the things Judd just talked about?
It's O'Connell. No question about it. Matt's pretty gregarious. I think Matt's bring it on. Let's go. Yeah. And I think KOC's like, whoa. Don't film that.
Yeah. There's some offensive linemen here, too. It's just hard for offensive linemen because they're not really allowed to go full on until preseason games, like Walter Rouse, Michael Juergens.
Yep.
Couple interesting draft picks. So,
well, all right. How about this one? Quarterback. Jaron Hall is
eligible.
He's a victim of numbers. If they have 3, I think I take him. But when you have 4, and it's very clear, they're going to have the first team reps are going to be hard to split up, right? So
he'd
Jaron
have to be
Hall,
so good in the fourth quarter of preseason games.
Exactly.
And even then, it's like,
my scouts weren't impressed.
I'm just saying, if there were 3 quarterbacks, if Nick was gone, I think I take him. Because I'm like, okay, he's going to play a lot in the preseason. He's going to have to take a lot of snaps with backups. Now, I don't know how the snaps are going to unfold at TCO. So Jaron Hall, a definite snub, but I think it's a justified snub.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he does going into another year. But that's the Mr. Mankato draft for 2024. If we're drafting a company number 1 overall to help with various things around the home, Judd, who would you draft number 1?
My 1 through 100 pick would be my friend Cody Finch and his team at Finch Home Solutions, who never make a wrong move. That's right. I said it. Cody and his team, they love the Vikings, but I'm going to tell you right now, you want to talk about a organization that's won the electrical Super Bowl. It is Finch Home Solutions, because they do a great job. And we're talking about projects big or small. We're talking about a project, I don't know. Let's say that you have a need for a 3-prong outlet. It's a 2-prong right now. Finch, bang, they're there. They do it. Let's say that you are going to get a hot tub, because fall is coming. Great time to be in the hot tub. Takes a lot of wiring. It takes a lot of work. Car chargers. No matter what you need, Finch can take care of you. They do a fantastic job. Give them a call, 612-357-2604, or go to finchhomesolutions.com. Right now, offering $250 off on an electrical panel as well. finchhomesolutions.com. Easy to navigate website. Fast, courteous, professional. That is Finch Home Solutions.
Federated Insurance is also courteous and professional in all sorts of other things. They're like a great offensive line protecting your business. They have experience going back to 1904. So they've been around almost as long as the Sports Dad has been covering Minnesota sports. Pretty close.
Sports Dad's tired right now because of that.
As a business owner, do you have a game plan to stay focused on safety and preventing claims? Let the team at Federated offer a customizable lineup of industry-specific coverages and risk management services to help you continue your winning streak as a business owner. Federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. Okay, real quick here. We were at the, opening press conference for training camp yesterday. Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah spoke to the media for 20, 30 minutes or so. Just your biggest takeaways, Judd, from that opening session. The vibe was a little, it was like 15 minutes of Kyrie Jackson and the organization speaking about the tragedy for the first time publicly. And then it kind of transitioned into Jordan Addison, and there wasn't a lot of actual football discussion here. It was more off the field stuff. But what were your 2 or 3 main takeaways?
So one, on the Jackson front, what the Vikings are doing is incredibly classy. He's going to the signing bonus is going to go to his family. The Vikings, they're going to bury and have a funeral for Kyrie and one of his friends at the same time, but the Vikings are basically covering the cost, I think, of Jackson's service. So first class, O'Connell and Kwesi and a few other people are going to go to the funeral on Friday. They're going to hold a service back here for the players on this team. They've done a great job. They're 100% doing right there. As far as the football goes, let's talk about that. One, I'm curious to see what the Jordan Addison situation. I'm curious to see. We won't find out really, but what happens behind the scenes? I think the Vikings are trying to support him publicly, but for that to happen a week after Kyrie is killed in a tragic accident, and for it, probably more importantly from Jordan's point of view, to be right before training camp, back-to-back years, he gets in trouble driving. So I do think that there is going to be some fallout there, if nothing else, too, for him, because he's on strike 2 now. Like strike 3.
Is he? Kwesi said...
Well, contract-wise, I think he definitely is. I don't think he's going to be let go, but I'm saying if Jordan is going to get a second contract, not Jefferson type of scale, but let's just say he's going to get a big contract, I don't think you can have 3 driving offenses and have teams totally trust you. So that's what I think is interesting.
I'm curious. Dookie's been reporting, the people that he's talked to, that people in the organization are furious about this. The timing of it, the fact that it's the second time it's happened, just the carelessness of it. And so Kwesi was asked about is there going to be discipline? I think Kevin Seifert from ESPN.com asked, is the organization planning on disciplining Jordan Addison? And Kwesi's answer was, we don't really use the word discipline within these walls. Within these walls, quote, it's about designing the outcome we want, finding the people that he needs to talk to improve. And they look at it as like this holistic process. And I don't know, I just kind of getting the temperature of some Vikings fans and other people in the media. It raised a flag when Kwesi said we don't really use the word discipline. And maybe this is just semantics, but to me, I don't care what word you use. When someone 2 summers in a row is reckless and careless driving vehicles 140 miles an hour or being so under the influence of something that you are asleep at the wheel on a freeway entrance, discipline or not, whatever word you want to use, there needs to be like a course correction or some sort of checkpoint with him where he knows, dude, there's consequences for this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he needs, I mean, it's my opinion that behind the scenes, he needs a good, this time swift kick in the pants. But, you know, no matter what, I mean, if they go the route of supporting him and trying to be as nice as possible, there's a difference between that though. And when it gets to the bottom line decision eventually of that second contract, which is still a few years away, but if there's no trust there, like they can try and get as much as they can, but he's not going to get that contract that he wants. So I'm curious about that. The quarterback thing I think is fascinating because one, it's been 6 years of Kirk Cousins shows up for training camp. He takes all the first team reps. There is zero challenge. I'm not even criticizing it. I'm just saying it was 6 years of that. How they split up reps here and try and get McCarthy first team work while getting Darnold what he needs. And remember, this is a new system. So like, it's not like Darnold is coming back into a system that he knows. And it's like, okay, if JJ takes some off my plate, I mean, if you're going to start Sam Darnold on September 8th against the Giants, which I firmly believe they're going to, you need to get him a ton of first team reps, especially since he's probably going to play little, if any, in the exhibition games. So like when O'Connell talked about that, and I don't doubt that he's got a plan. I just am curious what the plan is to get McCarthy enough looks where it's a competition, but it allows Darnold to go into MetLife Stadium September 8th and feel completely confident to run the offense.
That's the interesting thing is that if they were all in for 2024 and all in for, hey, Sam Darnold is our reclamation project, well, he would get, am I wrong on this? Like he would get almost all of the first team reps.
You're not wrong at all. That's the thing.
But I'm fine with that not being the goal. I think the goal needs to be not so short-sighted that 2024 is the only thing you're focused on. Yes, we say on this show, we want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. And this is one of those instances where being all in for 2024 probably doesn't help you win a Super Bowl. Developing J.J. McCarthy, and that was the other, Kevin O'Connell made it very clear that our path for J.J. McCarthy has nothing to do with what ownership thinks, has nothing to do with what, he didn't say that like explicitly, but he essentially said, there are no other factors. I am willing to put my job on the line to do this the right way with J.J. McCarthy. So no amount of losses stacking up, fans being loud, ownership. Now, at the end of the day, like, I don't think the Wills would do this, but if the owners are knocking on your door saying, dude, he's starting or you're fired, what would you do? Would you lay down your career?
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen, but it will be interesting if Sam Darnold comes out and he's the same old Sam Darnold, and maybe you've traded Nick Mullins or whatever. How quickly would they deviate from what their plan on paper is right now with J.J. McCarthy? That's the biggest thing, that it's all easy to lay out on paper, and it's easy to theorize how good Darnold could be.
It's July, the sun is out,
Yeah.
it's summertime, everything is, and now it's October, and your team's in the crapper, and forget the fans, forget us. To your point, let's talk about the Wills, and also Justin Jefferson, right? Like if Jefferson comes in and says, this guy's awful, let's try McCarthy. Does O'Connell say, no, Justin, we are going to wait? I like the plan. I just know that human nature, as things spiral sometimes, is not to stick to a plan.
Yeah. So any other just final thoughts before we say goodbye? And by the way, tomorrow you're going to be out. We're both going to be out there tomorrow. Declan's on Twins coverage for the Score North Twins show. as our beat podcaster and then here on Purple Daily. But we're gonna have Judd's camp notes fired up and ready to go the rest of the week here. Write that down, predictions tomorrow. But any other just final thoughts from yesterday?
I find it interesting. You talk about like who's going to get the first team reps, second team reps, etc. But it takes probably also like one slip from Darnold where, like, let's say Darnold gets hurt, gets injured early on in practice or in some type of team drills. Do they immediately turn to McCarthy to get the bulk of those first team reps early? And then with Darnold being sidelined, let's say it for a couple weeks, and McCarthy gets up to speed, then what happens? I think, like, I'm not praying and I'm not hoping necessarily for an injury to Sam Darnold, but I do wonder if McCarthy has to step in to take those reps. Does that cause now a schism? Does that cause a more potential problem where J.J. McCarthy could be the week 1 starter?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be starting week 1 unless he dominates the next 6 weeks. Like, I don't think there's any scenario in which, oh man, like we're forced to start J.J. McCarthy week 1. I think.
No, I think you're right. I think Mullins is there as the break glass in case of emergency, which is sort of what Declan just talked about, which is, oh my God, it's week 3 of training camp, and Darnold just grabbed his knee. You know, you're not going to say, oh my God, J.J. McCarthy, you're going to start. I mean, O'Connell said specifically, he essentially said, we don't need to get Mullins a ton of first team reps or really any, because we know that he knows the system. So like he is the fire alarm, right? And you don't want to pull it, and you might, and if McCarthy's good, you might decide we don't need it. Heck, we're going to be dangerous, live dangerously. But yeah, it's going to be, I just think as a Vikings fan or follower, these training camp practices, like if you're going out starting on Saturday when it's open to fans, are going to be so interesting to watch, because we haven't seen this in so long, and we've never seen it with a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah. So no, it's going to be fun. This is going to be one of the most fun training camps to follow here in a long time, with some of these fringe position battles, some of these really high upside UDFAs across both sides of the ball, and then a number 3 wide receiver battle that is yet to take shape. The quarterbacks, there's just a lot of storylines and things to keep an eye on. That's why the sports dad has field goggles that he will be taking out to practice every day. We should get Judd to take those out to the 3M Open decks. Maybe he can spot some wayward drives.
Watch Sammy, as you know, he's from the back tees, and then Judd, I can see him right now, just goggles, watching that ball fly through the air. I can see it. I can actually see it. Coming in hot. You got Billy Horschel, who had a great showing at the Open. Of course, Tony Finau is going to be there. It's an awesome field again this year at the 3M Open. You can get your tickets now by going to 3mopen.com. Park yourself also on hole 18, one of the more fun holes in all the PGA Tour. Go to 3mopen.com to secure your tickets.
All right, guys, that's a wrap on this episode of Purple Daily. It's training camp week. I think fans are allowed in on Saturday, so if you happen to see the sports dad or any of us from Score North wandering around, don't be shy. Come on up, talk some Vikings football. And don't forget, if you're a Twins fan, or even if you're not, you want to come hang out at Park Tavern Tuesday, July 30th for the Score North Twin Show trade deadline watch party. 4 o'clock, Park Tavern, St. Louis Park. 5 o'clock is the deadline, and 6 o'clock is the start of the Twins-Mets game. So, all right, boys, we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. We'll see you tomorrow.